All right, let's call to order the Regional Transportation Commission meeting for Friday, October 18th with a roll call.
Good morning. Tracy Larkin Thomason. Present. Alexis Hill.
Here.
Ed Lawson.
Here.
Bill Thomas.
Here.
Mari Luz Garcia.
Here.
Adam Spear.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Okay, let's Pledge of Allegiance. Will you lead us in the pledge, Alexis?
Yes, I will. Please join me in a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, move on to public comment. I have two. Let's start with Juan Martinez, followed by Dora Martinez.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Juan Martinez. My wife and I are both RTC Access riders. And past couple of weeks, they've been sending us taxis. And the taxi drivers do not give us the same ADA services as the Access drivers do. The cab driver doesn't come out and help blind folks to open the door, show us where the door is. Their car reeks of cigarettes. Sometimes the seats are ripped. There's wire coming out of the seat where you put your thigh area. So yeah, if please we can start getting our Access shuttle buses back, our drivers back. Thank you.
Thank you. Dora Martinez. Dale, will you help find a way up there, please?
Good morning. I'm Dora Martinez. Just want to make sure that you guys remember to put the bench at the McCarran by Mayan Safeway Shopping Center for Route 11. They moved the bus stop further west, and so it's tighter. The shoppers put carts perpendicular to the sidewalk. So when we walk there, we can't move them because if we move them, we have to move them to McCarran, and that will cause accidents. So if RTC people could put the benches there and move it back where it was, it would be very helpful for us blind folks who utilizes the sidewalks. Also, as what Juan Martinez was talking about, some of the taxi drivers and Petra Fava said that they are trained. They're not. I'm the one receiving the services or lack of ADA services. They don't do what the bus drivers do. They don't escort us to the door because sometimes I go to a new place and I don't know where the door is. They hop and puff, and then they pet my dog. It's really annoying, and it gives me anxiety when I know it's a taxi that's coming, because I know that it's going to be a different driver. And sometimes they reeked of cigarette, and then they try to cover the cigarette odor with perfume, and that triggers my migraine. And so I know that you all don't understand because you're not blind and you're not disabled yet. But if we put these precautions and protocol in place and give us adequate services, when you guys are, blind or disabled, you'll have the same services and safety regulations that we are asking for today. Also, the app to see where my driver is for access is breaking the ADA regulations. It's not accessible. I can't even see where the driver is, or even if I'm using Flex. And so if we're going to be, making the people with disability using the flex, please make it accessible so that way we can utilize it. There was one thing, and I completely forgot because I'm hecka nervous, but I want to thank Mayor Lawson and all of you guys sitting up there in Alexis Hill and everyone for listening to us. And please, we just want to travel. We just want to go where we need to go safe with our dog and our only child who's 18 and going to be go to UNR soon. So if you could all hear our plea, that would be very helpful. And thank you, and please go vote. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else in the public wishing to speak? Okay.
Mr. Chair,
All that.
Mr. Chair,
Get some training for our taxi cabs.
Mr. Chair. I just wanted to note we did receive one public comment via email that was emailed to the commissioners last night and will be made part of the meeting minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, let's move on. Seeing no comments from the public, approval of the agenda. Looking for an approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Consent items. Do you want to pull a consent item?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Do you, let me ask for some clarification from Adam. Per the public comment, they ask us to pull, what was it, 4.4.1? Is that correct?
I believe the request was to pull the item from consideration.
And to delay it for a month? Not knowing, how does that affect us?
Staff's recommendation is that the item not be pulled and that the board consider and approve the item.
Thank you. Okay. Let's, I got a motion and do I have a motion?
Yes, so moved, Mr. Chairman.
A second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. All right, we're moving up to item 5.1, receive an update of future plans for improvement at the 4th Street Station for discussion and possible direction. Jim, good morning.
Members of the board, good morning. For the record, my name is Jim Gee. I'm the Director of Public Transit here at RTC. And I'm here to give a short presentation outlining the importance of 4th Street Station and future improvements for that area. So for those who may not be aware, 4th Street Station is our key transit hub in the heart of downtown Reno. It was built in 2010. It serves 17 of our 20 routes. Approximately 1/3 of our passengers flow through that station every day. And quite simply, it is the largest, busiest location in our RTC network. It's where our 2 BRT lines cross. It's where our 2 main corridors cross. And again, 1/3 of our passengers flow through that station. However, since 2010, a lot has changed. And those changes have been accelerated because of COVID-19. There are some operational deficiencies that have occurred and developed over the last 15 years the station has been opened, along with the changing needs of our passengers that we also wish to address. Operationally, the station lies bounded by Lake, Evans, and 4th Street. So landlocked on 3 sides by large, busy thoroughfares. What we have seen over time is an increase in passenger circulation and people moving around the neighborhood due to increased walkability. We have certainly more micromobility at the station with scooters and bicycling, and all of those create conflict with our buses. Additionally, we have the need for additional bus bays, additional parking for our customers and contractors, and also additional charging opportunities. In 2010, when the station was built, we had 0 electric buses. We now have 1/3 of our fleet as electric. And while we have some overhead charging at the station, That overhead charging itself is antiquated due to technology, and the newest form of charging, depot charging, really takes more real estate than an overhead system. To address those operational needs, we are proposing a potential expansion to land to the south. There are currently 3 parcels that are owned by the city of Reno that extend between the existing 4th Street station and the railroad tracks. Those 3 parcels would allow us room to look at additional charging opportunities and also at the same time give us an opportunity to look at how our passengers and how the neighborhood flows through and around that station by walking and micromobility. I would just like to note for the board that we have such limited opportunities for expansion because of where the station is. We really should try to take advantage of expansion when we can. And so the area bounded in red on the map is what we are proposing to look at with FTA in terms of potential opportunities for reconfiguring our spaces, reconfiguring how we move our passengers, and reconfiguring how we move outside folks in and around the station. We also have a significant change, especially since COVID, with our passenger needs. This photo here is of the inside of our station taken at 11 o'clock in the morning. It's pretty empty. And what we've noticed with our passengers is the old model of walking up to a customer service window and talking to a live customer service person simply doesn't happen that much anymore. What we have now is technology. And so our passengers pull out their apps, they look at their phone, they look at the technology board, the reader boards at the stations, and they use that instead of the personal interaction on one-on-one. Instead of coming to the window and having transportation questions, the other thing we've noticed is the needs of our passengers have changed from a transportation need to almost a social need. And that folks at our stations many times are there for a quick period of time, but many times are juggling multiple jobs. They're stressed in their lives, and they have trouble accessing information and services either because they don't have the time or they don't have the wherewithal to just access them. And so what we currently do is we partner with the Downtown Reno Partnership and have their folks come on site to our facility approximately 200 times a month to give services to our passengers. This is a model relationship that was highlighted in a recent TCRP report, but I'm very proud of this relationship because it really flips the model that instead of telling passengers, sorry, you have to go somewhere else to get services, we're allowing the services to come to our passengers where they are in their daily lives. With us this morning is the Executive Director of the Downtown Reno Partnership, Neoma Jordan, and I'd like to ask her to come forward if she would to make a few comments.
Thank you, Jim, and good morning, everybody. I feel like it's a little bit of a reunion here, so great to see everybody and all the staff at RTC. It's a nice day to see all these smiling faces. My name is Neoma Jordan. I'm the Executive Director of the Downtown Reno Partnership, and I have been for about the last 2 years at the helm of guiding our 36 ambassador staff that work 24/7 to help connect individuals in the public realm to the myriad of services that we have in the community. And that means everything from somebody may need their driver's license, they may need to go to the Social Security office, they may need a ride to a shelter, they may need to go to the VA hospital. We are generally the first point of contact that assesses and figures out what the need is, and then we transport those individuals to that need. So our relationship with the RTC over how many, 4 or 5 years now, has been really great in the sense of augmenting some security at the 4th Street station, but connecting with individuals, and the demographics at the 4th Street station are exactly the clientele that we work with intimately every single day. So the ability for us to co-locate and expand and augment some of those services that we have. I saw that window up there that's not being used. Imagine if we could be there as a guide and a service for somebody who maybe they got off the Amtrak train and they knew that there was a bus stop, but they didn't know where things were, they didn't know services, they didn't know anything, we could be that guidance to help them get to that point. So I see this in the partnership that we have with the RTC as great. I see its potential even being greater. And I'm excited about the potential of co-locating in this location. Just a couple of quick stats over the last year. We have done over 482 wellness checks of the ridership at the 4th Street station. And what that means is making sure that if somebody's there, that they're okay. Because sometimes you can see somebody and they might be slumped over, they might need medical assistance, they might be having a mental health crisis, they might be having some other issues, and they might need our help, they might need REMSA help, they might need HOPE's help, they might need something else. So we do 482 on average in a year. We make 98 referrals to a myriad of services, 204 safe walks. And what that means is somebody's bus ride may have finished at the 4th Street station, but they're not sure of a directional where they need to go, and they might want a safe walk to where their destination is. So we will provide that with them as well. And over 1,400 directions were provided, and over 36,000 pounds of trash we collected from the RTC location. So that's all the information I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So our next steps, first, for the property acquisition, we will finish what's called NEPA analysis. That's following all the federal rules and looking at the potential for acquiring that property. Coming to the board next month will be an updated contract with the Downtown Reno Partnership to extend our current agreement years into the future. We're also working on updating the graphics and looks at both of our facilities to quite simply make them more cool looking and make them more visually appealing to our customers. New information kiosks are being installed at the end of the year. New call center is being established here at Terminal, which has more parking for our passengers and is better accessibility for a lot of the seniors who need services that aren't directly related to ride. And then, as Ms. Stern mentioned, we're looking at not only having a contractual relationship with the Downtown Reno Partnership, but actually having them physically on our facility, which I think is just a great model for transit in general, to have them there providing services for our passengers that are outside of our expertise. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, questions from the commission? I don't even have to look. I know.
Well, please, Commissioner Garcia had her hand up first.
Looking to your left this time.
All right. I'm going to start looking left because I know she always has questions.
I know. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Neoma, thank you so much for your leadership. This is an incredibly efficient, hardworking team. They are everywhere. They have a very strong presence. And I don't think you get enough kudos for the amount of work and the heavy lift that you have downtown. So I wanted to start off by saying thank you. I've obviously walked by the walk-up counter, seen it, but what is the configuration of the space and what are your operational needs from an ambassador standpoint?
I'll let Jim talk about the configurations of the space. Our operational needs are, our ambassadors are out in the field. So they are constantly in and out of the facility, and they do have equipment. Most of the time they're on foot. However, they do use segways sometimes, bikes sometimes. So it really is a centralized location where they can have a meeting space, have a place where they can get their equipment, a place to deploy from, a place where they can do briefings from shift to shift. We do work 24/7. So the ability to just have some area for them to be, have some meeting spaces would be fantastic. The configuration, I'm not sure currently works out ideally because it is just such a big, vast open space. But I think a place for storage and for 45 people to be able to come in and out of is really kind of the needs. And some administrative offices and conference space as well.
So to answer your question on our current configuration, we have two buildings at that facility. The north building is the larger of the two facilities. It is our customer service. It is restrooms and a lobby area for passengers. There is currently a large empty room along the north side of it that is frankly not used at all. And then the customer air service section will be moving here to terminal, which will free up a lot of space in that building. In the south building, which is smaller, that's where we house our security and our drivers for breaks and reliefs. So if the drivers have a lounge that they can use to watch TV, eat their lunch, there's a quiet room for drivers, and then also some workout equipment for them, for those who like to work out during the break.
After you pay your $10 fine.
I know. I apologize for my phone. I love this partnership. It reminds me of when the RSTVA partnered with Reno MV downtown to have a visitor center. They needed a place for them to display clothing, and then RSTVA didn't have the staff necessarily to staff a visitor center. So it's a great partnership, and we are. Even though we are in the service industry at RTC, we're not in as much in the social service industry, and I feel like the DRP is a great partner to lead with empathy and ensure that we treat everyone with dignity and get our guests to where they need to go, and also support them in additional services. And I know this model has been, I've sent poor Bill so many podcasts about how do we serve our really low income residents, homeless residents, because they're on the buses. We know where they're at. We know where to find them. So how do we make sure that we're interfacing with them? And I love this partnership because I know that you've been such a great partner, the DRP, Ms. Jordan, with the CARES campus and with the county, and making sure that we have that warm handoff when we get folks into that campus. So thank you for working together. I really admire the innovative approach with this. I'm really excited about it. I think the community should be really excited. I remember when the 2010 station was online, the ribbon cutting was done, and the Reno News and Review did an interview of all the commissioners who came out to celebrate, and they asked them, how did you get here today? And they said, in our cars, all of them. And I hope that when we open this new station, that all of us try to take the bus to the new opening, so that we can put ourselves in our customers' shoes. But I'm really excited about this, and thank you both for your leadership on this.
Jim, I have a question on, is Plaza Street part of the purchase?
No, the map is a little misleading. Plaza Street, easy for me to say, Plaza Street is the cut through for our buses. And so we have a couple of bus bays on the south side of that south building, and then parking for employees, contractors, and passengers who need services on the south of that. So right now we have passengers cutting through bus lanes, and it's just simply not a great configuration for safety reasons.
I was just thinking, if we own Plaza Street, to close that off on either end, it makes it even more secure.
Yeah, we use it for running buses through right now.
Okay. All right. Well, I look forward to seeing what we have in November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We're moving right along. It's going to be a short meeting. 6.1, Bill Thomas.
Thank you, Chair and Board. And I wanted to start today by just reminding everyone, which I'm sure you know, that we're getting close to the start of the next legislative session. In the past, and it's been very effective, the board has basically agreed that the chair and vice chair sit on a working committee with us at the staff level so that we can be responsive when things happen, because as you can imagine, it's very difficult to keep up with the pace of the legislature and integrate them with our formal public meetings. So we'll be doing that again. My plan would be, of course, to talk to all of you when we get to January. We will be having a transition of chair and vice chair. So
No one told me that.
yeah. Yeah, always chair. Coming up too. So what I would like to do is, of course, wait until all that logistics get sorted out. Then we'll have the conversation just to make sure all the board understands how we're going to handle this legislative session. And it's fully our anticipation at this point that we will probably be mostly in a reactive We don't have a bill. We're not going to propose a bill that we bring forward. So as is always the case, we'll get a lot of questions about what our position is, our RTC's position is on things. And so we like to have a nimble, effective method of dealing with it. So just a reminder of that. I'd like to take a moment this morning to thank our facilities and fleet maintenance team for their great work on a recent project, and it's one that's a little different for what we do. So our team installed 3 bus shelters at the Washoe County Our Place campus last month. Mark Schlater, Derek Campbell, Robert Boisfert, James Ross, and Wes Hall did a lot of work on their own time to install those shelters. Wes even took on the task of piecing together about a dozen older shelters to make sure that we have 3 usable ones. My thanks to the Reno Rotary and the director of the CARES campus, Elizabeth Pope, for presenting this opportunity to help our community in a meaningful way. And also, I want to point out that former executive director Jerry Hall was the one who brought this to our attention. And thanks to Jim Gee also for giving us a green light to get this accomplished. I think it always helps for RTC's vision in the community to take these actions that may not be directly in our lane as far as a transportation agency, but I think exemplifies to the community the value we can provide. So very proud of our team for doing that. Speaking of facilities and maintenance, I want to congratulate Robert Boisfert. He's celebrating his 5th anniversary at RTC. He does a great job of maintaining our facilities, and he's a very valuable member to our facilities and maintenance team. And then another introduction I want to give to the board. We've been pretty much having one a meeting, but I want to introduce Thomas Connell. Thomas, are you here? There he is. Okay. Thomas started September 25th as RTC's new IT analyst. He studied computer science at TMCC and has various IT certifications. He comes to us from a local company called URBN, where he supported various Windows, Linux, and Mac station servers, etc. His duties include user and technical support functions for our network. Welcome to the team, Thomas, and we look forward to bringing your expertise and success at our organization. And as you can imagine, including today, we have a lot of things we do at RTC that are really dependent on our IT team, and they do a great job of keeping it all working. As you also know, it's often behind the scenes. They're working here in the evenings and sometimes late at night, keeping our systems running. So I just want to acknowledge both Thomas, but also the whole team, John and his team. RTC is making a priority of engaging with the community, and so I want to touch on a couple of our recent efforts just to bring the board up to, for the awareness of the board and bring it up to speed. So we've had several meetings on many of the projects that we're undertaking right now. We're also focusing on specific neighborhoods by giving presentations to all of the NABs and CABs where we operate. We know how important it is for the public to be aware of what we're doing because these transportation improvements obviously impact their lives, both during construction, but also when they're done to help make their lives better. Staff of our engineering, planning, public transit, and comms teams are doing a great job, and I want to thank all of them for helping to keep the community informed of the operations of RTC. As you know, some more than others, next Tuesday, the election is Tuesday, November 5th. Once again, we will be providing free transit for everyone on Election Day across all of our services. We encourage all eligible voters to cast a ballot, and the public transit is a good way to do that. In addition, we'll be providing free public transit on Veterans Day, which is soon after on Monday, the 11th. These free services available to everyone, and it's a great way to use and show our gratitude to our veterans and our active military. The MTM Employee of the Month is Michael Medina. Michael's been driving for MTN since March 2018, so a little over 6 years. He enjoys being his own boss on the road, and he likes to make a positive impact on his passengers by giving them a way to get around. We know our drivers for MTM, as has been mentioned in the public comments, have a lot of interaction with our customers, and so they're a key part of the success of our service. And I want to thank personally on behalf of myself and the board, thank Michael for all he's done. The Keolis Driver of the Month is Sean Mahoney. Sean's accomplishments in September include a 95% on-time performance, 0 preventable accidents, and no customer complaints. Sean has worked as a bus operator for RIDE since 2019. He's originally from Chico, where he is also a bus operator. Sean is hoping to eventually become a road supervisor and works hard to accomplish those goals each and every day. So again, on behalf of myself and the board, I want to thank Sean. So that concludes my presentation this morning.
Okay, thank you. Paul Nelson.
Good morning, Paul Nelson, Government Affairs Officer for RTC. So Congress is in recess until after the election. There has been some pressure to possibly bring them back a little bit early to deal with some of the loan funding because of the recent hurricanes. Speaker Johnson says that that's probably not going to happen because they don't expect to have any funding available till mid-November anyway. So more than likely that won't happen. The election is obviously top of mind right now with the presidency and who's going to control Congress. So we're watching that. We'll see how that could potentially affect funding down the road. The FTA and NHTSA issued a recall on some Proterra buses, and these are just a few models that were built between 2020 and 2022. RTC has 2 buses that does affect, but it's just a simple software update to slow down radiator fans, so that should be completed by the weekend. It's already in process. Federal district courts in Kentucky and Texas ruled against a proposed emissions measure. That basically kills the rule that would require state and local governments to track emissions. The Biden administration has appealed that decision. The Congressional Budget Office came out with projections for the Highway Trust Fund over the next decade, and the shortfall is forecast to be about $210 million for the highway account and $73 million for the transit account. Coming up with that funding has been debated for quite a while because Congress hasn't raised the fuel tax for on the federal level, and they also haven't come up with new funding for things like road user charges. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. All right. Tracy Larkin-Thomas, NDOT.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and I will try to keep you on schedule, Mayor. So,
Way ahead of schedule. You can speak for the next 30 minutes. Please don't.
all right, as we kind of come to the end of the construction season, as you can tell by the weather, it is cooling down. We just want to acknowledge that Pyramid Highway is now 75% complete, and it's on schedule. We did open a 3rd lane this year and completed major construction between Queenway and Los Altos. And we are just continuing the utility, drainage, erosion control, and our now famous sound wall work on the Pyramid Highway north of Los Altos Parkway. So, then and next, we just kind of want to acknowledge a few things. So the Davis fire certainly affected all of us between Carson and Reno and on there. And I want to acknowledge not only NDOT personnel who played a big part, but also all the other first responders and that came in and, all came together to do that. We, as always, at the end of an event like this, we do a debrief and just looking for things that we can perhaps do better next time. And a couple of things is always, and it always is, communication and just how we can better enhance that. And so we're at the local level here, and across the state, we are looking at working just to establish more, a better relation, enhance our relationships with the other responders in the area. And things that NDOT did bring to the table is, we mainly are a support staff, particularly in the more urban areas we support, but with the route closures, traffic controls, working with the evacuations, but we did also provide generators for the lights, computers and the traffic signals, Starlink because cellular service went down, so we brought Starlink around that the other first responders can use, and then also provided mobile hotspots. You don't normally think of those things that you need out in the field, like, gee, the traffic signals are going down, what do you need? And then we're kind of highlighting, this kind of seems like a first responder story today, but this is an issue that's becoming more commonplace across the state and really impacting us. We had in the last 3 months, July, August, and September, 3 fires, all due to battery fires on there. And then I will talk a little bit more on this one. So in July, we had on the I-15, this was actually in California, but it closed down northbound I-15 for 48 hours on a weekend. Now, that's a lifeblood for Las Vegas. So then in August, we had a crash on I-80, and this was on primarily eastbound I-80 was closed for about 15 hours. But again, it was on the California side, just over the border, but it did affect us quite a bit. We had, and then we were routing traffic down through, we held the truck traffic, but routed traffic through Tahoe. And of course, that affects all the roads there. And then on US 95, this was just north of Las Vegas near Mercury, it was closed for over 18 hours when 2 semis kind of hit and they were carrying batteries in one and on there. So with that is just kind of making a notice that 3 weeks ago, it just happened to be timely, the governor and the governor's Office of Economic Development had planned a lithium summit, which they held up at Incline Village. And on that, they covered topics, I mean, literally beginning with what is lithium, how do you mine lithium, how do we recycle lithium, what are the uses, how it's moved. And then also, as part of it, the second thing, I served on a panel with several of the first responders who have been with the other lithium fires, really talking about the mitigation and the type of things that we need to look at. Just as this is just becoming a new challenge that we just need to learn how to meet. I mean, we had to learn how to meet hydrogen fires. We had to learn how to meet deal with fossil fuels, just regular, EV batteries. We're just learning how to mitigate it. And so we are looking at potentially a statewide strategy plan. So we're looking to get some funding to create one. And as I mentioned before, when you're in an urban area, there tends to be more resources, and it's usually fire that takes the lead, and then we're the support role. But once you get outside of the urban areas, it's generally NDOT as the first one on the road, particularly in the rural areas. So we want to make sure that all of our first responders and the public is safe, but also the people responding to the fire are safe. So moving on that pretty well concludes it, except one major announcement. So this is kind of hot off the press. So in the last 2 days, we were announced that NDOT was successful for $275 million grant for the widening of I-80 from Vista out to USA Parkway. So we're very excited about that, but as I said, the news is about 48 hours old, so we're still absorbing what that means to us. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. And that is very good news. Okay, let's move on to commissioner announcements and updates. Do you have anything? See, I'm sorry, I should have looked left.
I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have just a few items. On the public comment we received on the access shuttle, getting access shuttle drivers back, I don't know what that means, and so if you could either address it now during the meeting, just so we understand, or just let the board know, next meeting. It's not, I know it's not, okay. Just an update would be very helpful, because I'm not sure what that means. And then we did our youth ride free pilot this summer, and I'd love to receive some data on how that went. I'm hearing from some high school principals that kids who don't have transportation are not able to stay after school for their sports. And so they'd like to have RTC support kids to get home on the buses, but that's an additional expense. And so I just, any information on that to see if there's partnerships and if that was a successful program, and if we want to do that further, that would be great. And then also back to the public comment on the benches, and just an update on our transit stops. I know we had done some improvements this year that were amazing to many of our bus stops, and it would just be great to get an update on how we're going to continue those improvements through the rest of the bus stops and the community. And then I just want to give Maria Paz Fernandez a big shout out for the Liberty Bell wagon preservation, incredible work, and that was a great story that ran in the local news, and that's an icon for locals like me. So I'm excited that it's preserved. So those are my comments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you have anything? Okay, I don't have anything either. Any public comment? Anyone in the public wishes to speak? Madam Clerk, you got anything? Okay, well then we'll go right to item 9, adjournment.